All right. Hey, friends. Welcome back. And if this is your first time here or you're new here, welcome. I'm Taisha, and I'm very excited that you're here. Today, we're going to talk about building something. And, if you're like me, I don't play around with IKEA furniture. A couple reasons, but mainly because the instructions are just wild. I mean, or the last time I bought IKEA furniture, the instructions were wild. Typically, it ends in a lot of extra pieces and a meltdown. But seriously, over the past couple weeks, the past 3 weeks to be exact, I've been sharing a three-part message that God dropped in my spirit. And today, I want to kind of give you the full journey all in one place, kind of just a recap of those three messages. Because here's the thing, you're building something, and I'm building something. And a lot of times, whether you know it or not, you are building something, and whether you're ready or not. And what you're building, it isn't just for you. Can you believe that? It's not just for you. So I want you to take a second, go grab some coffee, some water, some juice, and don't forget a snack. I'm not judging you. You can grab a snack. And we'll talk about what it really means to build something that matters. Okay, so let me set the scene for you. I'm sitting in my quiet time and I'm listening to the book of Ezra. Yes, I said listening because that time in the morning, sometimes my eyes just don't want to work. And so that small print, I've got to just listen. But there was a phrase that really stuck out to me as I was reading it, and it just jumped off the page and kinda, like, grabbed me, and it was like, "You're building something." Now, at first, I'm thinking, "Yeah, God, like, I know I'm building something. I'm in the process of building a ministry platform. I'm trying to create content. I'm trying to do the things." But then it hits me. He hits me with the rest of it, and it says, "What you're building, it's not just for you, it's for those that are coming after you." And then I suddenly realized this isn't just about me. This isn't about me launching a platform, a place to talk about our Savior Jesus Christ, or starting that business or writing a book. This is generational. This is legacy. This is bigger than us. It's bigger than us. It's bigger than me and it's bigger than you. But here's where most of us get stuck, or here's where I get stuck. Here's where I get stuck. I'm talking about me. I'll stand at the threshold with all these questions, like at the open door, and I'll say, "Well, what is this gonna look like? Will it work? Will I mess up?" I say that a lot. Will I mess up? I've literally never built anything like this before. Never. And that's when God just took me straight to Noah. I just began to think about Noah. And if you know the story of Noah, then you already know. Y'all, Noah had never built an ark, ever. And that's what God asked him to build. He'd never even seen rain. Imagine God coming to you like, "Hey, I need you to build a massive boat." And you're like, "Oh, okay, cool, cool, I can do that." And then you're like, "Hey, what's a boat?" And then God says, "It's for a flood." And you're like, "Okay, what's a flood?" And he's like, "Don't worry about all that. Just trust me. Just trust me. You don't need to know the answers to those questions." But here's what Noah had. He had God's instructions, he had he had God's promise, and he had faith enough to go ahead and just pick up the hammer and get to work. That's it. That was his qualifications. And friend, I'm telling you, that's all we need too. That's really all we need. In Ephesians 2:10, it says that we are God's workmanship, his masterwork, okay? A work of art created for good works. He prepared specifically for you and for me, not for the person who's got that bigger platform, not for the person that seems to have it all together, but for you and for me. So that in itself should be encouraging. So we have to stop waiting for our experience to catch up with what God is calling us to do, what He's asking us to do, what He's telling us to do. Because you know what? God knows exactly where you are, and He's still calling your name. He knows exactly where I am, and he's still saying, "Hey, Taisha, come on, come on." So, all right. So you picked up your tools and you're ready to build. You're feeling inspired, you're ready to go, and God hands you the blueprints. And if you remember in my newsletters, I talk about these blueprints. Oh gosh, these blueprints. And you're like, okay, God, I feel like there's been a mix up. These instructions, they don't make any sense. Have you ever got instructions and you're like, I don't, they don't make sense. They don't make any sense at all. Listen, God's blueprints, they they rarely, and I mean rarely, look like anything we've sketched out on our vision board, that we wrote in our journals, or anything that we've imagined in our minds. Because typically when we start building, we have something in mind. We've written something out or we've put some pictures somewhere. But we come to God with our 5-year plans, carefully researched strategies, our color-coded spreadsheets, and, we know exactly what success should look like. And God's like, "Oh, that's cute." That's something that my coach would say to me often when I come with what I think is a well fleshed out, safe plan. Keyword safe. But God says, "Oh, we're doing it my way." So, not my way or your way, but his way. So here we are back at Noah. Build an ark in a desert. Sure. Now we're moving on. March around a city 7 times. Why not? That's another story. Feed 5,000 people with the kids' lunch. That's easy. Dip 7 times in a muddy river to be healed. Obviously. If you know about any of those accounts in the Bible, you know they were just like wild. You're sitting there like, nah, how is this going to work out? But really, none of it seemed to make sense until it did, until it made sense. So I'm going to be real with you. I've been building this platform, this ministry, Run Free, to walk with women and to help them come out of their cave seasons. And we all have them. We've all been there, and there'll be times and seasons where we'll venture back. And I had plans, okay? I had timelines, I had strategies. And let me tell you, God has redirected me more times than my GPS has ever redirected me on a road trip. And trust me, I've been redirected plenty times on road trips. But sometimes he gives me and he gives you instructions that don't really match our experience. Okay. No, a lot of times he gives us instructions that don't match our experience. Sometimes he asks me to create content I've never created before. Sometimes he opens doors I didn't even know existed. And then he'll close doors that I thought were guaranteed. So what I'm learning that God gives you what you need to build, not what you think you need to feel certain. Did you hear me? What you need to build, not what you think you need to feel certain or feel confident to move on. Proverbs 3, 5, and 7 says, "Trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not into your own understanding. And in all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight." The Lord will make your path straight. Notice it doesn't say to trust in him after you understand. It says trust in him, submit to him, acknowledge him. Then he directs. The direction comes after the trust, not before. And sometimes I know that's where I have a problem. I want to trust after I get the plan. So if God's blueprints don't make sense right now, that's normal. And you're in good company because we typically all feel like that. So the question isn't, do I understand these instructions? That's not the question. A lot of times that's what we ask, but that's not the question. The real question is, do I trust the architect? Do I trust the Lord? Because God has never, listen, listen to what I'm saying. He has never called anyone to build something and then abandon them without the instructions they need for the next step. That is not the God that we serve. He may not give you the whole blueprint at once, but he will give you enough for the next step. And today's step of obedience, it really becomes tomorrow's foundation. So we have to learn how to trust in that very next step, not seeing the whole picture or process at one time. So here's the part that nobody really talks about in their motivational post and in the Instagram reels. If you remember this, this was in part 2, and really I talk about that sometimes the building, it just stops. Whatever you're building, it just stops. Nothing. You were making progress. You had great momentum. You could really see it taking shape. Like you can really see where you were going. You're like, okay, I see this now. And then nothing just stops. And then the door slams shut. The provision dries up. The people walk away. The clarity that you felt like you had turns to straight confusion. And you're sitting there like, okay, God, we're not done here. So why did everything stop? We're not done. And it feels like everything has come to a stop. So I know in Ezra 4, if you go and read Ezra chapter 4, the people there, they're in the process of rebuilding the temple. They're doing exactly what God told them to do. They have their instructions, they have their materials, and they're building, like they are getting to work. They're getting to work. And then their enemies wrote a letter, and boom, just like that, the work was legally shut down for years. Do you hear me? Not illegally, like legally shut down for years. Not because the people gave up, not because they lacked faith, and not because they disobeyed. Sometimes the building stops and it's not even your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. But sometimes it just stops. And I trust me, I've been there, so I know it's happened to me. I've had seasons where I felt like I was doing everything right. I was showing up, I was creating, I was following God's lead, and it felt like I was building in slow motion, like everything was moving at a slow pace, or it wasn't even moving at all. And the enemy loves to whisper in those moments, "Hey, if it's delayed, it's got to be denied. God must have changed his mind." Or this one, "Looks like you missed your moment." I heard that in my ear a lot. Those whispers, oh my gosh. Have you heard them too? I've heard them over the years. I've heard them over the years. But you know what? They're lies. They're all lies. And that's what we have to realize. They're lies. Habakkuk 2 and 3 says, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak and it will not lie. It won't tell a lie, though it tarries. Wait for it, because it will surely come." Did you catch that part? Though it tarries, though it delays, though it seems to take forever, it will surely come. And I love that because God's word does not lie. It will surely come. So here's what to do when the building stops. There are 3 things that we have to do when the building stops. First, don't abandon the site. Don't leave your post. Just because you can't build today doesn't mean you walk away from what God already established. The foundation that you laid, that I laid, it still matters. It still matters. So we don't want to walk away. Second is we want to steward what's been built. Steward what has already been built. Maintain it. Protect it. Keep watch over it. Your pause is not permission to neglect what God already gave you. And I've learned that lesson in so many different areas of my life. And third, we want to stay sensitive to his voice. If you go and you read Ezra 5, the prophets, they show up and they encourage the people through the word of the Lord, and they start building again. They realize that God didn't abandon them. He was positioning them for the next word, the next instruction, and the next move. God was not caught by surprise by anything that took place that would stop or discourage them from building. And it's the same thing with me and you. He is not taken by surprise by anything that happens. Your pause might be God positioning resources, could be connections, could be positioning you for the wisdom you're going to need for the next phase. God is always working and always moving. So when we are trusting in and following God's lead, we have to remember that a delay is not a denial, a pause is not a permanent stop, and that a closed door is not a canceled calling like the enemy would like you to think or believe. He wants you to take that in and settle it in your heart, and that's just not true. So, okay, friend, we're gonna bring this on in. We're gonna bring it home. So, over these the past 3 weeks in these 3 parts, these are the things that we covered. Just to recap it, you're building something, and it's not for you. The second thing is the blueprints, they might not make sense, but God is the architect. Not you, not me. God is the architect. And we got to remember that. And not anybody else. We can't let them come in and try to tell us what we should be building either. And that the building can't stop. The calling isn't canceled. When the building stops, the calling, that doesn't mean that the calling is canceled. So remember that I am definitely in this with you. I'm building something I've never built before too. Some days I'm excited, some days I'm terrified, some days and most days I'm both, okay? I'm excited and a little terrified. But here's what I know for sure. What I know for sure is what God calls me and you to build, He will definitely give us the strength to complete it. So what I want you to do is pick up your tools, whether that's your pen, your pencil, your computer. Take the instructions that we've been given, even the strange ones. Trust the timeline, even when it doesn't match yours, which it usually won't. Keep your tools ready. Stay on the site and trust the architect. Trust God. Your appointed time is coming. And when it does, when it comes, because it's coming, and when it does, what you've built, what He's built through you and through me, it will stand for generations. It will stand. Now, I really want to hear from you. And I've heard from several of you already. You responded to the newsletters about what you're building, but I want to hear from you. Where are you at on this building journey? Are you just starting out? Are you in the middle of following confusing blueprints? Or are you standing on pause on the site? Where are you at? Drop a comment and let me know. Remember that I am praying for every builder that's watching this. And if this message, encouraged you or helped you or inspired you, share it with someone else who needs to hear it. Share it with that friend that you have that is building something and struggling with the whispers of the enemy in their ear that could be coming from other people and just those they're surrounded by. You never know who needs permission to pick up their tools today. So I'll see you in the next one. But in the meantime, I have placed some scripture references in the show notes, along with some challenging questions that you can ask yourself when you just have some time and you want to really dig deeper into the building process. So now I want you to go and build something amazing. Until the next time.